Hi, I'm Steve Rosenberry, and I'm an adult extreme picky eater. I've been the one clogging up the Yahoo group boards recently because this was my week of awakening. For people watching this video, I'm going to try to share it with friends and family. I think it'll be easier for me to explain to people what this is all about. I found a website this week called pickyeatingadults.com. It really explains our whole story. I encourage anyone to go out there. If you have a picky eating child, if you know of someone else dealing with this issue, there's so many resources out there. Like I said, it was a huge awakening for me this week. I'm really excited. It's given me more hope for a more active social life than I've had in a long time. That's, I think, been my biggest problem personally. I'm starting to accept the fact that these may be the only foods I eat the rest of my life. I do believe mine is an extreme situation, much like Bob's and Bob's, Marla, Amber, Joyce. I feel a lot like you guys, that it's physiological, it's not mental. I've gone to psychologists. I've tried different things, and even still at this day and age, at 41 years old, I gag, choke, and will even puke up foods that do not have the right texture to me. Everything I eat is typically dry and crunchy. So today I'd like to say I'm coming out of the cabinet, because for us extreme picky eaters, behind these cabinet doors lies a deep dark secret that we've been hiding our entire lives. So much like they did on the Anderson Cooper show, and with some of the other videos you'll see on this website, I'm going to give you the grand tour. Like most of us, protein is one of the things we have a hard time getting in our lives. Most of us do not like meats. I have never eaten meat except for a very short stint of 3 months where I actually went to a psychologist, was put on antidepressants, and we actually tried to work on this eating issue. It was extremely hard for me to choke down fish sticks and chicken. I had to slather them in barbecue sauce just to get them down, and eventually we got to the point where she said, "You're healthy, why are you trying to do this?" And I told her, I don't know, and I really didn't want to put myself through hell anymore, so I stopped. So my main source of peanut butter, one of my main sources, is just peanut butter. I prefer reduced fat. It's less oily. Again, I like things that are dry and crunchy, so this helps. I actually didn't start eating peanut butter until later on in life, maybe my teenage years. My mom always thought I did. She'd pack peanut butter crackers in my lunch when I was in grade school and even in the middle school, but I'd throw them away. I'd only eat the chips and cookies in my lunch. I also eat different kinds of crackers. I really prefer reduced fat Cheez-Its. If you're starting to see a trend here, because of the way that we eat, a lot of us try to pick reduced fat products. One of the posts that I had on the Yahoo group is tips and tricks. Recently, I come across these protein snacks or protein chips from a company called K's Naturals, and I really like these. There's two flavors I like: protein crunchies and also chili nacho cheese. Because unlike some people, my big problem is texture. I really love different flavors. I like things a lot of times that are hot and spicy. But the great thing about these is there's 12 grams of protein and only 4 grams of fat. And if you compare that to the Jif that I have every day, there's only 7 grams of protein and 12 grams of fat. You know, it kind of flip-flops. But I feel like I need to eat something normal at lunch every day. So what I have is a toasted peanut butter sandwich and a bag of one of those K's Naturals chips. I only eat white bread, typically toasted. I've switched to whole grain. Hey, whole grain is supposed to be healthier for you, right? If I reach down here into the bottom cabinet for breakfast, it's typically dry cereal. I only eat a few brands. I prefer, personally, Life, Frosted Flakes, Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, And the only one that I can, and I found that I can tolerate with milk just a little bit, is a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I've added that to my diet not too long ago to add some milk to it. But a lot of different kinds of chips. You know, the other night I was on there saying I was eating my reduced fat Pringles. Yeah, here we go. Of course, trying to stay baked, you know. You got the baked Doritos, the baked Cheetos, and things like that down here. I do take a lot of other different supplements with my diet. Chewable multivitamin, because I do have a problem swallowing. I always also put that online. I've had that for the longest time that I can remember too. They actually did a test on me one time, and what they found was my esophagus was actually narrower than a lot of people. It didn't seem to stretch out like a lot of people normally do in their early years of life. They said they could stretch it, and I don't want any part of that. I'm fine just the way I am. I also take calcium supplements. I found these omega-3 orange packets, which when we get to the refrigerator, I'll show you those. And I also talked about protein shakes that I found that I can tolerate. And I encourage some people to try those as well, because they've been a great addition to my diet. I couldn't agree more completely with Anderson Cooper. It's a fantastic way to get protein. And a lot of times I use a protein shake as a meal replacement because I can tolerate it. So you've seen the cupboards. Let's take a look now, if we can here, at the freezer. Next stop on the foodie tour for me. Over here, my wife's a picky eater, but she eats a lot more than I do. She eats pizza and pastas, cheese. She'll actually eat salads quite often. So she's not as bad as me. She's more of a vegetarian, I think, than an extreme picky eater. We prefer a lot of Skinny Cow products. You know, it gives us a little variety, and then we can still have ice cream. Again, I keep trying to watch the fat intake. That's been my big tip for some of the people I know out there saying they have trouble with weight. It's a way to still enjoy things. I still think the taste is pretty good. I enjoy waffles. Hopefully you can see those over there. Again, reduced fat. A big staple of mine, like many other people, is, let me reach back in here for you, French fries. Most of us have our freezers stocked full of these. I prefer the Ore-Ida Extra Crispies. You can see there. Could really relate to Amber's segment, because for the longest time I had a stint too where mostly what I ate was French fries. And just hearing Joyce and Marla and some of the others, similar situation, it's really comforting. It makes me feel like I finally belong. I belong to a community and finally feel part of something. We have some vitamin water in here. We have a lot of sodas right now, which I'm not happy about. My wife sometimes tends to over purchase if I say that I have a hankering for something. I think just because she gets excited that I actually want to eat or drink something, because she worries about me too. Here's the Ensure protein shake that I was talking about, that I found recently, that I really like. Let's see if I can get that in focus there for you. As you can see, it's an Ensure high protein shake. It's 25 grams of protein. I don't take it every day simply because it still is a little bit hard for me to get down. Deer Park water, Gatorade, of course, to replenish. Here's the omega-3, core omega-3 packets that I was talking about in here. You know, omega-3 is for heart health. Tried to incorporate those as well. People that have problems with their stomach might want to consider some of this acidophilus. It's helped sometimes I have some stomach issues because of the way that I eat. I do try to consume a little bit of milk on my cereal. So let me put the camera back down, see if I can get back in focus for you over here. I'm filming right now when nobody's around. Most of us have spent most of our lives alone. I tend to avoid all social events where there's food involved. Most holidays I detest. I can't stand Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas. Not because of the holiday, but mostly because typically there are events where people just gorge themselves with food. There's a lot of funky smells. For me, that's another issue that I have. There's not many people that know this, and this might embarrass my wife a little bit, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are things that she eats that I cannot stand the smell of, and either I'll leave the room so that I can eat, or I'll ask her to leave the room so she can eat. And I feel really bad about it because she's been a sweetheart and really understanding about this whole thing. But at the same time, I feel bad because she sometimes limits her consumption of certain foods due to my disorder. So these relationships, the ones that we do have, the extreme picky eaters, are a little bit hard to manage at times, but they're out there. So Bob from Arizona and now in mid-Ohio, I guess, maybe you're still there. Don't give up hope. I'm sure there's somebody out there for you. Even in your 50s, you may find somebody. I think there was somebody else I read about that it took them until their 50s to find somebody. Mostly, I just wanted to, like I said, come out of the cabinet today. I want people to put a face with my name, kind of say, here I am, world. I'm Steve Rosenberry, and I'm an extreme picky eater. I love you guys. I can't wait to meet some of you face to face.